Hello there, and welcome back to Winning the Division, episode number 18. I am your co host, Ryan Smith, alongside Ben Troupe, former NFL tight end of the Raiders, Bucks, and Titans, also University of Florida tight end. I'm wearing my Gator shirt tonight, Ben, to represent the Gators. So, Ben, before we get started, what were your main takeaways from week number 15 of the NFL season themes from this week?
Ooh, bad quarterback play. It was a lot of bad quarterback play to go around. I mean, I'm going to do my best to try to keep it under wraps when we start talking about it. But I think you would think this far in the season, Smitty, something me you talk about a lot, you know, uh, early on in the day or just talking in the day about games is it's such a huge disconnect from good quarterbacks to bad quarterbacks. I said it earlier. You got the first tier, second tier. You don't want to be flirting with the third tier. And I think a lot of these quarterbacks are take a step back. Not necessarily meaning that they're bad players, but at this
Right.
point in the season, certain things should be, more on time. Like as far as like your reads, as far as like going through your reads, staying ahead of the chains, not putting yourself in harm's way, and not taking so many. You take chances at the beginning of the season. You don't take as many chances now, especially when even if you're not in playoff contention. So one thing that stood out to me was just elite quarterback play in certain instances and just real bad quarterback play in other instances, make you scratch your head, regardless of the team record. Like I tell you all the time, Smitty, football is a humbling game, and it humbles you a lot. But
Yeah.
some of these players are doing things to make you go, what in the world are you looking at? What in the world are you doing? What in the world is going on? But that's why we talk about winning the division or either in the division. And sometimes you playing like you just in the division, like you ain't trying to win at all. But yeah, that's what stood out to me the most.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the game specifically, let's go ahead and do our usual starting segment with our players of the week and our not so players of the week. I'll let you kind of go first and lead us off.
My players of the week, listen, a couple of blasts from the past. I mean, Mike Evans and Devontae Adams. I mean, Mike Evans, 9 catches, 159 yards, 17.7 touchdown. I mean, 17.7 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. And he actually got 103 career touchdowns, for those who don't know. Devontae Adams, 9 catches, 198 yards, did not catch his first pass until the third quarter. Had 9 for 198, 22.2 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. He has 101 career touchdown pass. Why is this significant? Mike Evans drafted in 2013, 17th overall. Devontae Adams drafted in 2014, 53rd overall. And these guys are just putting up numbers. And unfortunately, if you got players of the week, you got not players of the week. My list is a little longer this week, though, because I don't have a team. But starting with Russell Wilson, 14 and 22, 128 yards, 1 touchdown. No George Pickens. When he's not in the offense, it's a huge problem. You know why? Because you got Najee Harris, running back,
Yeah.
6 carries, 14 yards, 6 for 14. My next player, Anthony Richardson, 17 to 38, 172 yards, 2 interceptions. I mean, when I talked about that bad quarterback, like Jonathan Taylor, touchback. You got to hold on to the football. I'm not understanding this dropping the football. Why the need to want to drop the football before you get in the end zone? Jonathan Taylor, come on, man. You're a veteran. Will Levis, 8 for 12, 89 yards, 3 picks. And surprise, surprise, Jameis Winston, 16 to 25, 146 yards, 3 interceptions. I know he said all he want guy to do is deliver him for pick sixes. No, deliver you from throwing picks. Period. But that is my players of the game. That is my not players of the game. But but an honorable mention, even though Cincinnati did not pay Jamar Chase before the season. Right now, he's a triple crown. First in catches, first in yards, first in receiving touchdowns. Dare I say, man, him and Joe Burrow are not the reason why the Cincinnati Bengals aren't winning. They got a defense that can't really stop nobody. But that is my players of the game. That is my not players of the game. With Jamar Chase letting the Cincinnati organization understand why you pay your best players before they have these monster seasons, because whatever Justin Jefferson got or CD Lamb got, yeah, it's gonna be laughable when you see what Jamar Chase got.
Yeah. My player of the week was Lamar Jackson against those hapless Giants. His 6th career 5 touchdowns, 0 interception game. 3rd place all time. He was 4 touchdowns against zone coverage, 17 to 19 for 243 yards and 4 touchdowns. My co-player of the week, along with Lamar Jackson doing his thing in that 35-14 win over the Giants, was Jordan Love last night at Sunday Night Football in Seattle. He did his thing against the Seahawks, and if Jordan Love plays this way, Green Bay is very dangerous. He took him 63 yards on 10 plays. That was a Jacobs touchdown to first drive of the game, but Love set the tone for his team in that raucous crowd of Seattle. So 20-27 for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. Jordan Love, my other co-player of the week. You already hit on Jameis Winston. That was one of my not players of the week, so I won't go as much on him. You already talked about him. My other not so player of the week was I just had him up in my notes. Decided to close on me here. Hold on one second. Why is my notes closing up? Okay. There we go. Okay. The New Orleans Saints, they were competitive, so hear me out. The Saints were competitive. Derek Carr did not play. Spencer Rattler, Jay Kaner. Well, Jay Kaner, he's a Fresno State guy. He struggled mightily in this game. 4 of 10, 49 yards, an interception, and 3 sacks. Just a 16.2% quarterback rating. I know Washington defense is not exactly the 85 Bears, and they're still growing. And then Spencer Rattler came alive in the second half after Haener got benched and led them to a comeback where they went for 2, and obviously they fell short.
How is Spencer Rattler not starting? So ain't nobody talking about that.
That's a question for another day. And no, we can talk about it if you want. And then my other not top unit is the New York Giants all around. I mean, will he survive this season? Will Joe Shane, former Panthers front office executive, will he survive this season? The hard knocks stuff with Barkley, so much ineptitude up there at MetLife. John Mara with the blimp, sell the team. People think, Mara might have put that off himself just to mess with the team a little bit. Who knows? Just a lot of crappy stuff going on with the New York Giants. But those are my not top players of the week and units of the week and players of the week. So we'll go ahead and get started into Ben as we just recap week 15, and then we'll start with my Panthers, who took a regression to the mean, step back, 30-14 setback to the Dallas Cowboys, to fall to 3-11. And yes, because the Panthers were so bad in their division, they just now got eliminated from playoff division this past week, which is hard to believe because the NFC South is so bad. But anyway, 30-14, Dallas over Carolina, and Panthers fall to 3-11. Dallas improves to 6-8 on the season.
My biggest takeaway from the game was I think Dallas was playing with a lot of desperation. I mean, if you are a Dallas Cowboy, you get fair and unfair criticism because of who you play for more than how you play. Obviously, they was trying. This how bad this how crazy the game went. CeeDee Lamb obviously was able to go out there and establish himself. Him and Cooper Rush had a nice thing going. I think sometimes when it comes to Bryce Young, I mean that fumble he had. I mean, come on, man, that was a great. Scramble, and then you just fumble the ball. It just did something to him. Xavier Legette, I mean, he had a nice throw to Xavier Legette down the sideline, and Xavier Legette, he got to leave himself some room. If you run down the sideline, leave yourself about 2 yards, to the boundary, so you can still, get up and still find a way to, go out there and make plays. But my biggest takeaway when you start talking about these Carolina Panthers is it's going to be a high level of scrutiny because of the fact that, they're not meeting expectations. And like you said, they just got eliminated from playoff contention in week 15. That showed you what is or isn't going on in the NFC South. Dallas played like a team that's understanding they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're trying to save face. Michael Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Rush. Ezekiel Elliott plays for the Cowboys. I don't know why. Yeah. I really don't know.
He barely played against the Panthers. He got a couple of 1-yard first down runs. Whoop-de-doo. Exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying, but I wouldn't buy in too much into the game only because I think if you talk about a Dallas Cowboy team that's definitely not meeting expectations and a Panthers team that's learning. I do agree with something you said, Smitty. They do abandon the run too fast because you just sometimes you just forcing the football. Yeah. And look, let the running game, open up for the passing game. I mean, Chuba, obviously, he's going to go out there and do what he does. But when he doesn't know when he's running backs, just like quarterbacks need rhythm. And there is no rhythm. Chubb is almost scared to have a big run because they're gonna just take the ball out of his hands and just put. Bryce Young gonna touch the ball every play. Chuba Hubbard is the guy that seems to get better. I think he's already over 1,000 yards, for the season. But no, I wouldn't buy in too much. I think now, with only 3 weeks left in the season, it's how you play more than who you play. I want you to look a certain way. And it got out of hand towards the end, but I think Bryce Young, listen, for as small as Bryce Young is, he's good at coming out of tackles, like coming out of sacks. Sometimes, look, I love the fact that he's keeping his eyes down the field. But let's remember, his number one receiver is Adam Thielen. That's his number one. Xavier Legette is his number two. Right? Chuba Hubbard is the best player they probably got. Well, Chuba Hubbard is probably the second best player they got on the team. Obviously, I don't want to, what's y'all D tackle name that's hurt right now?
Derek Brown.
Derek Brown. I'm sorry. I'm never going to. Well, 3. I'll go 3. Him, J.C. Horn, Den. But either way, you got to find a way to feed Chuba Hubbard. I mean, he wants to live up to the contract he just got, even though he's more than worth the money. But, yeah, I wouldn't buy in too much, Smitty, but it is rough. When it is your team, we're way more scrutinized. We're way more harsh on our team. We find every small little minute thing.
Yeah.
The one play he had, the old boy took it like 70-something? That's
83-yard touchdown pass to undrafted rookie Jalen Coker, who is the number one undrafted rookie receiver this year, and he is doing some special things on the field. He came back with a quad injury from last missed 3 games, and unfortunately did not play against those 3 games, which the Panthers did look good, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Bucs, respectively. So he missed all 3 of those games. So one could argue if the Panthers had him, maybe those games go differently, but it's an undrafted free agent, so probably not. But anyway, yes. So I agree. Like you said, I was telling you earlier, Panthers abandoned the run too soon. Dave Canales will learn that as a first-time play caller, how to do that more effectively going forward. And these last 3 games, we'll see what happens with the Panthers going forward. Chance to go out with a 3-game winning streak. See what happens. Let's move on now to the Ravens, and they got the victory over the Giants 35-14 in MetLife Stadium. Giants in the running with the Las Vegas Raiders for the number 1 overall pick.
Ooh, I think sometimes, you get exposed so much. People kept saying, why does Daniel Jones not want to be a Giant? He's 2 years into his new contract. It's a mess. I mean, the Giants are a mess. I mean, I don't even how people look at box scores and say, "Oh, Brian Burns still had a sack." Yeah, but that's he did, but it's a misnomer. Right. It's almost like padding your stats when the game was over. Like you losing by 30, so you still ended up with 400 yards passing. Yeah, but you lost by 30. The Ravens did to the Giants what they supposed to do, make them look, like rudimentary, make them look very, very, very average. The thing about Lamar Jackson and what makes him who he is Lamar Jackson is not going to throw for 350 yards, 400. He doesn't have to. He's very, very, very efficient with the football. I like the fact that him and Mark Andrews got that thing going. I think Mark Andrews got like 40-something career touchdowns. It's like he's had
their team had a quiet game as well in this one. They didn't need him, but he had a quiet game.
Yeah, but I think that Coach Brian DeBole, I don't know. The Giants are a very unique place to play and coach because you're going to get, the biggest media market in the world. But the Giants to call them bad is there aren't words to describe how awful. And you would think that the Giants ain't got some good players, and they do. They got some good players, but they aren't. There's no continuity. There's no rhythm. There's no culture there right now. I think those guys are doing all they can to stay as healthy as they can to get to the end of the season and figure out what they're going to do this offseason. So, but if you are the Ravens understand they obviously, I think that, Pittsburgh's probably going to win that division. Cincinnati is making some noise. The Browns are the Browns. I think for the Ravens, we got to get as many wins as we can to try to put ourselves in the best possible position for a wild card spot because they're gonna have to go on the road. They're gonna have to go on the road in the postseason, depending on what happens. But I just think that to watch Lamar Jackson play football it's like poetry in motion. Some of the stuff he does, he's just showing off. But you're not a 2-time MVP, regular season MVP for nothing. And like I said, they're not looking past anybody. They're definitely getting tuned up for the postseason, Smitty. But yeah. It's the Ravens. if this 2023 Ravens, the Giants will find a way to beat them, not because they're a better team, but the Ravens, they'll lay an egg. They did not do that on Sunday. Brian DeBoer was like, "Oh, we might catch them not at their best." Oh yeah, you did, and that's the end result. And unfortunately, like I said, people pay good money to watch some of these games. And unfortunately, if you're a Giants fan, go to the nearest supermarket, get the nearest bag, and poke 2 holes in it for your eyes and 1 for your face, and put it up because it's like that right now. And we'll get to the Jets, but yeah, if you're a Giants fan right now, it's rough.
Ravens proved to 9-5 on the season, 5 touchdown passes from Lamar Jackson, and 9th straight loss for the New York Giants.
9th straight? Wow.
Yep, 9 straight. Let's get to the Jets. They improved to 4-10 with a 32-25 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, who followed a 3-11 on the season. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams carry the Jets in this game past the Jaguars.
This was a better game than I thought it would be. I mean, let's face it. You got 2 teams definitely going in the wrong direction. One is both in the AFC. One's up north, one's down south. I give the Jaguars a lot of credit. Mac Jones played very, very well. I mean, what's his name? Brian Thomas Jr. He set the rookie record, receiver record for the Jags. No Evan Ingram. I don't know what's going on with Travis Etienne right now. He hasn't looked like himself. But Devontae Adams, I think, was the talk of the whole. He showed the world, look, man, I'm a future Hall of Famer. Me and Aaron Rodgers have connected on 80 touchdowns. 80?
Yeah.
He caught his 100. He caught his 100th and 101, 101st, however you said, touchdown. And the thing about Devontae Adams, what I just said about Lamar Jackson, how he played the quarterback position, if you just watch Devontae Adams run rounds, it is beautiful. Devontae Adams is not the fastest receiver you ever seen. He's not the biggest receiver. He's gonna get wide open. And he put on a clinic. Look, if you're from New York, it's probably cold up there. They got to go down to Jacksonville, good weather, for one day. Devontae said, "Hey, man, I'm from the West Coast, man. I'm used to having good weather year round." He got some good weather down there in Duval County. Shout out to Jacksonville. But I give Mac Jones and Jacksonville a lot of credit for how they played. But like I said, if you are a Panthers fan, a Jets fan, a Jags fan, a Titans fan, teams that aren't going to the playoffs, I want my team to show fight. And I know Aaron Rodgers got this documentary. Listen, if you look up the word narcissism or narcissist, you're going to see Aaron Rodgers right there. Because we are doing documentaries while I'm still playing. Anyway, don't. I'm not going to go off.
We're not going to get. I don't want to get.
Shout out to the Jets for finding a way to get a win. I mean, if football is your livelihood, winning, obviously is your bottom line. And for 1 week, for one Sunday, they got it done against a scrappy Jaguar squad.
Washington Commanders improved to 9-5 on the year as they beat the New Orleans Saints 20-19. Saints now 5-9 as Jaden Daniels passed for 2 touchdowns, and they outlast the Saints on a failed 2-point try to win the game.
Jaden Daniels he's box office. The things he can do with the football in his hands. Him and McLaurin and those guys. Scared Terry. They was doing some things. I'm not understanding why Spencer Rattler didn't start. Like I'm not understanding it. I really, really don't. But they did bring him in towards the end of the game to try to save the game. But here it is again, Smitty, right? You get a late touchdown. So the Commanders miss a field goal. You get a late score. It's 2019. Just kick that. I'm gonna go for just kick the extra point. We're gonna go for the win. Kick the extra point, see what happens in overtime, with the defense playing well. Cameron Jordan, I think, had a couple of sacks. I want to say Chase Young had a couple of sacks against his former teammate. But Jaden Daniels is why having a quarterback is so important. Because when you got a guy that can wheel you back into the game, that switch the momentum of a game, win games for you, he does things with his legs that not too many quarterbacks can, not too many, athletes can. And he learned how to take care of himself. And once again, just like the Jags, and the Jets, I thought that the Commanders would just run away in this game. And, shout out to the Saints, man. They played with a lot of pride. They kept the game close. They was able to get a late touchdown. I'm thinking, they're going to hit the extra point going to overtime. No, we're going to go for 2. With no Alvin Kamara on the field. And I think he left with a groin injury. Alvin Kamara is smooth, man. His game is, he one of those guys that just make it look easy. But I just give a lot of credit once again to the Commanders because everybody want to talk about Philly, as they should. Everybody want to talk about Dallas because people are just contractually obligated to talk about Dallas and where you got the Giants. They are showing that, hey, with a rookie leading us, just like with the Broncos and other squads, they found a way to keep winning games, and they build a lot of momentum. I don't think they're not going to win the division. I think the Eagles are going to win the division, but they're going to have to go to somebody's house with a wild card team. And dare I say, as long as Jaden Daniels is playing the way he's playing, they got a shot.
The Cincinnati Bengals improved to 6-8 on the season over the Tennessee Titans, who fall to 3-11, 37-27, as the franchise record for the Bengals is set by Joe Burrow, 3 touchdown passes, as the Tennessee Titans are sputtering, as you said, close to the top of the draft order as well. 37-27 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals in the Brian Callahan revenge game that did not go as planned.
Yeah. The commentator said, Will Levis has been playing better as of late. Based off of what? Like, playing better. He had 3 picks. Mason Rudolph comes in, he throws a pick. So both the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback combined for 4 picks. And that's playing better. Joe Burrow his talent is being wasted by the Bengals. He is leading the league in passing yards. He might be leading the league in touchdown passing because I want to say Jamar Chase has like 15 or 16 receiving touchdowns. Joe Burrow, obviously he was in the news about his house getting, robbed. I don't know what, this year I want to say he has, Patrick Mahomes has, Travis Kelce has. I don't know who these people are, but I hope they get that kind of stuff under control. But it's hard to watch my Titans, Smitty. It really is, because I'm just waiting on something bad to happen. It's gonna happen. Every single game, something bad happens. And the thing about the mistake bug, man, you gotta, just like a hitter has to hit himself out of a slump, a pitcher got to pitch himself out of a slump. I don't see that happening with Will Levis. Not because he's not a good enough player to do it. There is no culture there. There is no culture in Tennessee. Coach Callahan, I know his dad's on the squad.
Mike Vrabel tweeted yesterday, Titans should never have fired me.
I mean, he ain't lying.
I know he's not. He's going to be on for these coaching jobs in this current offseason. We'll see where it goes.
I don't know. He might end up being on staff in North Carolina. Who knows? It's a Bill Belichick call. But shout out to the Bengals. They handle business. I think now, once again, they might have a small inkling outside shot of making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do it. But Joe Burrow shows why he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Jamar Chase, in my opinion, shows why he's the top receiver in the National Football League. Argue with your mama. I'm just telling you.
And for the folks who are clear, the Bengals do have a path to the playoffs if they win out. Colts lose one of their next 3 games. The Dolphins lose one of their next 3 games. And the Broncos lose out. That is the
so I'm about to say, so basically, yes. No, the Broncos are not going to lose out, with the way Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Everything has happened, but yeah, odds are against him.
Yeah, unless the Broncos got to play Kansas City 3 straight weeks, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs avoided a scare with Patrick Mahomes. They win 21-7 as Mahomes improves to 13-1. Cleveland is now 3-11, also up at the top of the draft order as he throws for 2 touchdown passes. Mahomes leaves with a high ankle sprain. Is what it has been revealed. And Jameis Winston experience was up and down as usual.
Yeah. They definitely dodged a bullet, right? If you're talking about Kansas City, a mile high ankle sprain, didn't finish the game. He showed the dramatic. He's sitting on the card after the game with the dramatics because the camera's on him. Pat Mahomes, calm down. Y'all already in the playoffs right now. He needed some rest. I don't know if Andy Reid and company are going to rest him.
That's the question. They have 3 games in 10 days. That's the question.
Carson wins, right? Carson Wentz out there trying to do his best Pat Mahomes impression. Once again, Patrick Mahomes is not putting up MVP type numbers. You know why? Because he doesn't have to. He said, I don't need to. He said, back when I thought I had to do that to win on my team. Yes, I'm the best player on my team, but I don't have to be the best player every Sunday. No. I could defer this thing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I know we'll get to, maybe the transaction got released by Kansas City, man. I'm wishing him the best. 2-time Super Bowl winner, was on that 2019 LSU national championship team, first round pick. Wishing that man nothing but the best. But Kansas City once again, they just find a way to get it done. Now Cleveland makes life easy. Jameis Winston throwing the ball to the other team 3 times. Come on, man. I mean, 16 to 25, 146 yards, 3 interceptions. It's going to be hard for any team to win with that type of play at quarterback. Yeah. Jameis Winston is good for football as far as like a viewer or a listener or a love or people that love football, but you got to play better than that. Pick sixes and picks. I don't know how many. I'm not mistaken. I think he might have more interceptions than he has touchdowns. I could be wrong, but he has a lot. His touchdown to interception ratio is bad, and he's living up to it. But no, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes and company, they find a way to get it done. And once again, they win ugly, they win late, they win with blocked field goals, whatever, a big defensive stop. And the only team that's beat them, is Buffalo, and they keep on winning. Now, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play the rest of the season, when he comes to the playoffs, he's going to be 2 things: fresh and healthy. And I don't know if that's good for the competition.
Let's keep it moving as we get through some of these, like I said, games. You can go quicker for those games that you feel aren't as significant. Texans beat the Dolphins 20-12 to improve to 9-5 on the season. Dolphins playoff hopes are all but extinguished now at 6-8. As Nico Collins has 2 touchdown catches, and the Texans forced 4 turnovers in the win.
Hey, shout out to CJ Stroud and company. Getting a big win. The Dolphins was coming in with a lot of momentum. Tua was playing better. Mike McDaniel's offense was playing a little better. But I just think that when you start talking about Houston, and what makes people frustrated with them is when they decide to go play, they go play. I mean, I'm talking about on Austin. I think Danielle Hunter, if I'm not mistaken, they're our defensive end that came over from Minnesota. I think he's like number 1 or number 2 in sacks, right behind Hendrickson. The guy find a way to get it done. Nico Collins means a lot to that offense. Like when he was out, they struggled a lot. Now that he's back, they found a way to get more rhythm and more sustainability in the offense. The best cornerback in the NFL is Derek Stingley Jr. I do not care how you feel about it. The best cornerback in the National Football League is Derek Stingley Jr. You don't believe me? Ask Tyreek Hill. They tried him twice with Tyreek. He had 2 picks. They tried him. 2 picks. Derek Stingley Jr. is the best cornerback. Nothing against Patrick Surtain, right? Nothing against him. Nothing against Taylor Ramsey, all of them. Derek Stingley Jr. is the best cornerback in the National Football League. Once again, debate with your mama. That's what it is, and that's all I got to say about
it. Okay. I don't want to be a biased Nancy, but J.C. Horn is top. I know. Yeah. No, listen. J.C. Horn is top 8. He's not top 5. I know, but he's top 8.
J.C. Horn is top 8. I'm not saying J.C. Horn is top 10 cornerback, but the number 1. Yeah. Very nice.
Yep. Broncos improved to a 9-5 with a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, 31-13 win over the Indianapolis Colts as they roar back on 5 takeaways, and they beat the Colts 31-13.
This is a very, very, very sloppy game on both sides. I mean, Bo Nix, I think he threw 3 picks. I think he threw 3, and the difference is Bo Nix, he's going to play his way out of a slump. The thing about if you are the coach, and think about Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson lacks touch. Anthony Richardson lacks poise. Anthony Richardson is lacking football awareness right now because once again, I'm gonna keep saying this, Smitty, you're not gonna out athlete people. That's not gonna happen. Oh, he's 6'4", 250 pounds, and put the ball where it's supposed to go. Jonathan Taylor, Lord have mercy. Hold on to Smitty. Once again, look. Mistakes are going to happen. Football is a microcosm of life. What happens in life happens on the football field. Ups, downs, good plays, good moments, bad moments. Getting out there, get yourself back up. Hold on to the ball. No one touched you. That was a walk-in touchdown. Why are players so ready to drop the ball? Literally. Because maybe when it happened, I'm like, why they took them? And he said after the game, I apologize to my team. Apologize to your team. Apologize to yourself. The number 1 thing when it comes to football is ball security. Protect the football. Why did you drop? You had a good game. Over 100 yards. Haven't scored in a while. So you finally get in the end zone and you drop the ball before you get in there. That was a huge momentum swing in favor of the Broncos against the Colts. They never recovered. Now, Jonathan Taylor ain't got nothing to do with Anthony Richardson, but I just think that really, really hurt them. But shout out to Bo Nix, who no one's talking about enough. Everybody wants to make it about Jaden Daniels, as they should. Everybody want to make it about the receivers, as they should. Jaden Daniels right now is probably the front runner to win Rookie of the Year. Him, Brock Bowers, Bo Nix names need to be in the mix because he got his team, 9 wins, 95 right now. Hey, that's pretty impressive in my book, people.
Yep. The Cardinals are back at 500, 7-7, as they win 30-17 over Drake May and the New England Patriots, who also are in the top 5 of the draft order. And James Conner had 2 touchdowns on the day as the Cardinals snap a 3-game losing skid. Again, 30-17 victory.
I mean, listen, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's the Patriots. I mean, Drake May is doing all he can. May God bless that man. And like I said, Arizona, I mean, take nothing from them. They're having an okay season, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. has turned out to be not what we thought he was going to be, but I just think that give Arizona credit for trying to keep pace in the NFC West. It's probably going to be won by the Seattle Seahawks with a San Francisco team that's trying to win games, and a LA Rams team that find a way to win games when we counted them out. So, but shout out to Arizona, man, trying to keep pace.
The Bucs put up 40-burger on the Chargers out in LA, 40-17, improving to 8-6 on the season. As the Chargers also are 8-6 after this loss, as Baker Mayfield threw for 4 touchdown passes in this rout, 40-17.
Mike Evans. Everybody gets so caught up in who's been the most consistent, who is this. Mike Evans has been about as consistent as a football player as you can have. Good quarterbacks, Tom Brady. I got Baker Mayfield. 9 catches, 159 yards, 17.7 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns, as I mentioned, 103 career touchdowns in his career and counting. Baker Mayfield is really, really good in this offense, man. Like, he really, really is. I mean, he's finding a way to improvise. He's finding a way to utilize his legs, not throwing the ball to the other team. I like what I saw. And like I said, you didn't do it against no slouches. The Bucs are probably gonna win the NFC South when it's all said and done. And Kirk Cousins, believe it or not, has 10 touchdown passes against the Bucs, and he's already beaten them twice, and they're going to win the division. So shout out to Baker Mayfield for just staying the course, not letting what happened in the beginning of the season bother him. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. Shout out to the Bucs.
The battle for the Keystone State went to the Philadelphia Eagles, 27-13 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They improved to 12-2 on the season. Steelers fall to 10-4 as Jalen Hurts answered those critics with his connection for 3 touchdowns this week. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith both had touchdowns in this game as, again, they win the Keystone State battle 27-13.
Mike Tomlin was able to go out there and do what nobody's been able to do all season. That shut down Saquon Barkley. Shut him down. I mean, as far as like what we've grown him to know, what we've seen him do this season. The problem is they couldn't stop the pass. I mean, you knew that because of all the rumblings, Philadelphia Eagles make more news about after wins than teams do after losses. First it was Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Now, can they get the passing game going? I'll keep telling people this. People say, hey, Ben, you said that Jamar Chase is the number 1 receiver in the league. Who's number 2? It ain't Justin Jefferson. It's not. It ain't Tyreek Hill. Who is it? It's A.J. Brown. If you get A.J. Brown the ball, he is unstoppable. I'm serious. Just think DK Metcalf, a little shorter, a little leaner, and you can't stop him. You can't. So for me, I was happy to see that passing game going, but George Pickens not being in that Pittsburgh offense, they have no clue. They have no identity at all. Russell Wilson, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, he couldn't find a way to get the ball to nobody. And Najee Harris, 6 rushes, 14 yards. Come on. But shout out to Philly for not letting the lack of – they got so many stars on offense that it didn't let Saquon Barkley in the running game. They still ran the ball well. I think the backup running back had more yards than Saquon. But shout out to Philly, who understands that this is the same team in 2023. Remember they had that incredible start and they went downhill. Yes. They remember that stuff. So shout out to them. Still trying to be the beast in the definitely the beast in the NFC East, but trying to be the best team in the NFC right now.
The Buffalo Bills improved to 11-3 overall, and they snapped the Lions' winning streak 48-42 in an absolute shootout as the Lions fall to 12-2 on the season. Josh Allen had a huge game, 2 touchdowns, 362 yards passing. Jared Goff answered that with 5 touchdowns of his own, 494 yards in a losing effort on the Lions, and 48-42 Buffalo in a potential Super Bowl preview.
Josh Allen might have sealed the MVP in the way in which he played on Sunday. Josh Allen is on. He's cheat code, man. Like the things someone said, hey man, you're not gonna have Stephon Diggs. They say he can win with anybody, and he can. You know who? I don't know if he's hurt right now. You know who's not really into the offense, and they traded for him? Amari Cooper. They hardly even throw him the ball. It was Johnson and it was a Cook, the 2 running backs. They was making a bunch of plays, but when Josh Allen is at his best, it's hard to say anybody's better than him when he's at his best. And that's taking another way from Lamar. That's taking another way from Patrick Mahomes. That's taking another way, from Joe Burrow. When he's playing like that, they're gonna be hard to beat. The problem is he don't play that every week. But Detroit, they did fight hard. Amon St. Brown and company, they never ever gonna be out. But sometimes no one wants to lose, Smitty. Listen, win the division hashtag no moral victories over here. None. But hey man, you learn more in the loss than you do in the win. Dan Campbell obviously took it on the chin in the post-game press conference, but it's only their second loss of the season. I still think if it is a Super Bowl preview, I guarantee you this, Smitty. They see each other for the Super Bowl. Oh, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be way different.
Yep. And then Sunday Night Football wrapped up with the Packers getting the win 30-13 over the Seattle Seahawks to improve to 10-4 on the year. Seattle falls to 8-6. Still a possibility, like you said, to win this division as Jordan Love throws for 2 touchdowns, 229 yards passing. Geno Smith only 149 yards passing and a loss. And he also threw an interception in the red zone where he left with an injury in the third quarter, did not return. Looks like he did avoid serious injury. Thank goodness for the Seahawks. They're going to need him because Sam Howell, UNC quarterback, did not look very good in relief with Geno, but 30-13 victory for the Green Bay Packers.
Something you kept saying, and I agree with you. I mean, if Jordan Love and company going to play like that, Smitty, they can make some noise. I mean, because everybody want to talk about the Lions as they should. Everybody want to talk about Minnesota as they should. Jordan Love and company playing like that, they're gonna be a hard out because their defense, they got a good D. They ain't like top. They ain't the number 1 defense in the league. That would be the Chargers, even though they didn't look like it this weekend. I just think that if you are Jordan Love and company, the good thing about them, they can play in any weather. They're outdoor cold weather team. Obviously, they can play well in the dome, so that kind of helps them. Which we always talk about them West Coast teams coming to the East Coast, or them hot weather teams coming to the cold. I think if you are Jordan Love and company, just keep winning, keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, they look really, really impressive. Shout out to the Jordan Love and company up there, with the Green Bay boys.
Did you want to say anything about the Thursday night game that resulted in 0 touchdowns and all field goals for the weather fest of the Rams, essentially in the 49ers season, and they get the win over their rival?
I think bigger than the Rams in the 49ers season. Obviously the biggest thing coming out of that game, was Devondre Campbell. Shout out to Dre Greenlaw coming back 10 months after Achilles tear in the Super Bowl.
Yes. And he was going to lead our headlines here. I'll go ahead and we'll just go ahead and transition then to our transactions and injury headlines. Let's start with Devondre Campbell. 49ers suspend Devontae Campbell for 3 games. Linebackers Walker now empty, contract detrimental to the team, out for the rest of the season, final 3 games. Go ahead and continue on your soliloquy on Mr. Devondre Campbell.
Devondre Campbell did something that I've only heard of. Like, how you hear, it's like somebody's telling like a scary story about, let me tell you about the time the football player who quit on this team. Number one, I heard Emmanuel Acho say something that I agree with. He said he was a double agent, meaning, number one, he was plotting on his team. Think about this, Smitty. I go into a game. I've been starting. But I know my role. I know that when Dre Greenlaw comes back, I'm going to be relegated to the bench, or at least, limited playing time.
Right.
Now, Dre Greenlaw, who just got back from 10 months, with a torn Achilles, his knees started having soreness in it. Because, when people go through rehab, you're going hard, but you can't assimilate a real game. Speed, different awareness. So Dre Greenlaw, I don't know if it's third quarter, fourth quarter. They say, hey, man, okay, he got to go. Hey, Dre, we going to play. They probably told him to pitch count. We're going to play you as long as your leg, Achilles and your knee is up to it. Because they say when you break your Achilles, it affects your knee as well. So he started having sores. They took him out. They go to Devondre Campbell and say, "Hey man, we need you to go." He said, "I don't want to go in. I don't feel like playing." So why are you here? You don't feel like playing. You're dressed out to play. You're going through warm-ups, you went through practice. You knew this was gonna happen all week long. It ain't like you got to the game and they say, "Oh, why is Dre Greenlaw here? Because he playing today." Really? What that mean for me? What? Listen, I'm trying. What I don't like about situations like what Devondre did. Forget. Okay, your teammates are one thing. The game is another thing. What about the name on the back of your jersey? I mean, the Campbell name. Because no matter what, Smitty, no matter what Devontre Campbell does for the rest of his career, people are only going to remember him for this.
He's going to remember this. They're going to remember this. Yeah, that's the sad thing about it.
So look, they suspended him. I would say for the rest of the season, last 3 games. People say why not just cut him? Because if you cut him, you can still end up having to pay him. Like if 49ers remarkably made it to the playoff, to the Super Bowl or something, you will still owe him money. No, they're gonna suspend him for the next 3 games so that they don't have to pay him. And then, after, because he's on a 1-year deal. But it's just hard to put into words, Smitty, because football, any sport, it's so hard to even make it to this level. And because your ego was bruised, because your feelings was hurt, you quit on your team. And it's the worst way to do it. He was coming into the game saying, "I hope they need me today. And when they need me, I'm going to tell them no." Bro, this ain't Pop Warner. This ain't a backyard football game. We meet each other at the park or at the rec. And that's still crazy if you did it there. But I'm like, and then what you walking away with the towel on your head for? Don't be proud about it. Man, anyway, I feel like George Kittle. He said, "That's never happened to me before. I hope it never happens again." Right. This is coming from the same team with Trent Williams. Lost his newborn son, and Travarius Ward lost his 15-month-old daughter, and Ricky Pearsall got shot, and Fred Warner's playing on a broken ankle. But go ahead.
Yeah. They've had quite the season.
Right.
Yeah. Some other headlines from this week. We already talked about Patrick Mahomes dealing with a high ankle sprain. Lions lose running back David Montgomery and defensive tackle Aiden McNeil for the entire season. Chiefs waited ex-first-round draft pick running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Seahawks optimistic Geno Smith will play on Sunday. Tomlin also optimistic on J.J. Watt's availability versus the Ravens. And finally, Ravens excused wide receiver Deontay Johnson from team activities for this week. That Panthers trade is looking better and better with Deontay Johnson.
Well, number one, Montgomery, Neal, going off of Detroit, that's bad news, because this is a team that's, I don't want to say they peaked early, but, the injury, you count the healthy bodies toward the end of the year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting released. That's rough. What you mentioned, Deontay
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with him. Like, they've thrown him. He's caught like one pass since he left Carolina or something like that.
One pass for 6 yards.
I think some of these players like Deontay, they value themselves more than they actually worth. Because we're supposed to see ourselves in high regard, but. Hey man, my play on the field is what speaks for me. Haven't seen you out there, and think about that going to the front office of Harbaugh and company and say, "Hey man, I think y'all need to go ahead. You need to go. Go ahead, leave. I'm not going. We're not gonna hold you. You're like right now, you're just taking up space. So, yeah, a lot going on around the league. These transactions. I think about guys like Devontre Campbell and Deontay Johnson. Those guys, you're throwing away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because your feelings hurt. But guess what? You got somebody in your family that don't want tickets, that don't want you to give them any money. They're going to look at you and say, "Dude, you're going to look back on this, and the pain of regret is going to kill you later on in life because the decisions you making now, you got to live with later." I hope you're able to stomach that stuff, but some of the stuff is crazy. But yeah, that trade right now is looking really, really good for Carolina. Real good.
Before we go into our preview for Week 16 and our top games to watch, I'll give you some overreactions and headlines that I think are noteworthy, and we can just kind of talk about it. and give our let's also go and give our rewards with 4 weeks left in the season. We'll do the top ones that pretty much everybody likes to know. So I'll kind of mix those here. The Buffalo Bills are your Super Bowl favorites after Week 15, and I think Josh Allen has wrapped up the MVP in this league.
I want no Buffalo's not my Super Bowl favorite. Buffalo is definitely one of the teams I think will be in the Super Bowl. Do I think Josh Allen has wrapped it up? Yes. And the reason why I think he's wrapped it up is because while Lamar Jackson's have a good season, we've seen it before. Saquon Barkley, in order for him to win the MVP, he got to break the record. He's not. He needs like 400 something yards. I don't think he's going to break it because of this last game. But I got Buffalo in the Super Duper Bowl only because even though they're gonna have to beat Kansas City twice, that's gonna be rough. But I don't see nobody stopping them in the AFC, even with Patrick Mahomes dealing with his mild high ankle sprain. So Super Bowl favorite, no. MVP, yes.
Let's go ahead and do the other rewards, and I'll give you my overreactions or proper reaction in a second. My coach of the year, I mean, you got to give it to. I know they're fading a little bit, maybe, but Dan Campbell, I mean, you got to be impressed with what he's done. I think you could have some other people on this list, but for me, Dan Campbell and his staff has done a pretty good job. So I think he wins my coach of the year. My offensive player of the year, Saquon Barkley, pretty easy one for me. Offensive rookie of the year is Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, Brock Bowers doing well as well, but I'm going to give it to Jaden Daniels. My defensive player of the year, as usual, T.J. Watt, just doing Watt things. He is injured right now, I know, but optimistic, hopefully playing. Tomlin said on Sunday. And then my defensive rookie of the year. There's a lot of people I could have gone with here. This might be a little bit out of left field. Rams defensive lineman Jared Verse. I mean, he is playing pretty good football out of Florida State, and that's our arch rival, as we know, Florida fans on this podcast, as you know. But he's playing pretty well for this Rams defense. Aaron Donald retired last year, so they had to have a big hole. You were never going to replace him, but Jared Verse as a rookie is playing very well for this Rams team who finds himself right near the playoffs. And Jared Verse has done a lot better than I think a lot of people expected him to be. I know he's exceeded my expectations personally. So those are my rewards. And then the comeback player of the year, I almost forgot about that one. The comeback player of the year has to be Saquon Barkley. Can he win 2 awards? I mean, he basically has come back to be the player we know he is. And so I don't think he's going to win comeback player of the year. But if he could win 2 awards, I think he could do both offensive player of the year and comeback player of the year based on how he's played this.
Oh man, my coach of the year because I think they're gonna end up winning the NFC South. Even I think it might end up being Ty Bowles because and the reason why I think Dan Campbell has done some incredible things, but I think because of what Dan Campbell did in 2023, I think 2024 was like just a continuation of it. I think Ty Bowles because of it, and I'm not looking at the NFC South as a whole because people thought it was going to be a runaway with the Falcons because they've already got beaten twice by the Falcons with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Devontae Davis and all those type guys. I give it to Ty Bowles. My offensive player of the year, of course, it's Saquon. I mean, 1,600 yards already? With 3 games left in the season, and it's how he do it. The man got a freaking move that he's jumping over people backwards. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. My defensive player of the year, wow, a lot of guys to choose from. T.J. Watt is doing T.J. Watt type things. Hendrickson, slowly but surely for Cincinnati is having a good year. He leads the league in sacks right now. Zaire Franklin, I think, leads the league in but Xavier McKinney, the safety from Green Bay that came over from the Giants, be on the lookout for him. Leads the league in picks, has been a huge addition to not just that defensive backfield for Green Bay, but but just that whole team. Xavier McKinney has really, really been balling. Offensive player of the year right now is Jaden Daniels. Brock Bowers is right there and Bo Nix, but I just think that Jaden Daniels is just doing it in style. He is my defensive rookie of the year. I was going to go with it. What's it? Hurts? I mean, I can't. Curse. Is it Curse or Hurts out there with the Rams?
Jaden Verse.
Jaden Verse. I'm sorry. Yeah, and like you say, I remember him when he was.
I'm sorry, Jared Verse. Jared Verse.
Sorry, Jared. Anyway, I was trying to mess somebody named Jared Verse, former Seminole. Now Ram. He's a force. He really, really is. he is a force. My comeback player of the year, it is Saquon. Unless somebody else that just had having a stellar year that did. Saquon can get 2 awards, and he will get 2 awards. I mean, because of what he's done. What am I missing? I know I got defense rookie year, offensive rookie year.
No, that was it. You got them all. You got them all.
And MVP, obviously,
You said, yeah, we said Josh Allen. Yeah, good job. Okay. My only other overreactions is going to be. Let me see. I wrote a lot of these down, but I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go with 2 of them. Mike McCarthy is going to be the Cowboys head coach in 2025. I think Jerry Jones has been saying this might happen, and I think it just might, especially if they win out or at least go 8-9.
Yeah, the reason why I think he's going to be the head coach is because I think sometimes the head coach of Dallas is not necessarily who's the best coaches, who could deal with the most chaos. McCarthy's been there long enough to where, because if you bring in somebody new, they got to get used to Jerry Jones. They got to get used to the Dallas Cowboy fan base. They got to get used to the scrutiny, they got to get used, to all the different media attention that they get, whether right, wrong, and different, good or bad. So I think Mike McCarthy they'll look at, Dak being injured. Like they'll look like, Micah Parsons being injured at a certain point throughout the course of the year, not really having that steady run game like they thought they were going to be. So with all the different factors, because Jerry Jones might be Aaron Rodgers' grandfather, because they're going to blame everybody but themselves. It's everybody's fault. It's not me. Yeah. It's him. So, yeah, I think Mike McCarthy will be back because Coach Garrett, Sean Garrett, when he was there, look how many years he was there.
Jason Garrett. Yeah, Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Look how many years he was there. What did he do? You know what I'm saying? Like he went from Tony Romo to Dak. What did he do? Nothing. So when people said they ain't win no playoff games, they were doing that since Jason Garrett's been there. For a long time. So McCarthy, I think he'll sign it, and because this is the final year of his contract, he got to sign an extension. I don't know how long, but he got to sign one. So we'll see.
The NFC Championship game is going to be an NFC North showdown. Lions, Vikings, Packers, Lions, somewhere in that vicinity. I think it could happen, Ben. I'm not saying it will, but I think it very might happen.
It could. And the reason why it could is because, number one, people say, well, what about Philly? I say, well, Philly has proven this. Philly is either focused on the passing game or they got a solid running game. If you going against some of these teams that you got to go back and forth with, because Philly's defense is better, but I think they still could be had for teams like Green Bay. Teams like Detroit, teams like, Minnesota. So yeah, I would love to see a division rival for a championship. For an NFC championship. Because here's the thing about Detroit. Detroit is going to be coming in and walking wounded. You down. Montgomery's gone. Your D tackle's gone. You already got Aiden Hutchinson. We don't know if he's going to be back for the playoffs because he's been out for a long time. But I would love to see a division rival, because you know who's going to get paid in 2025? Sam Darnold. He ain't going to be with Minnesota. But somebody's going to get a big-time quarterback making some big-time money. Shout out to Sam Darnold. Sam, I am. You know what I'm saying? Resurrecting his entire career.
Speaking of quarterbacks, a bonus one that I just thought of. Will Geno Smith be back for the Seahawks in 2025? Will the Seahawks have a new quarterback?
He'll be back. He'll be back. I think Geno signed a big deal, I want to say, a couple of years ago. He'll be back. Now, I don't know how many years past 2025, because after your second or third year, when it comes to quarterback contracts, you got these bonuses like hitting in from like games played and snaps and all these different things. Geno is a good quarterback, man. Geno to me has shown that he's a viable. He got a good team around him. But Geno, and he's in a division that's very, very competitive with the Rams. With Arizona, with the 49ers. So, yeah, I do think he'll be back in 2025. Past 2025, regardless of how he plays, might be up in the air. Not because Geno is a good Smitty, but everybody want to get two things in the NFL. They want to get younger and they want to get cheaper.
Okay, that's fair. All right, well, as we do every week, let's get into our top 5 games to watch for the week that is following up this week, and that would be Week 16, the week before Christmas. So we are almost to Christmas, but another NFL week to go. Week 16, our top 5 games to watch. Here we go. I will go ahead and start. Number 5, Chiefs-Texans at 1:00 on Sunday on NBC and Peacock. Chiefs Patrick Mahomes, will he play? That's the big storyline in this game. CJ Stroud and company, when they're focused, they are a good team as well. Don't know if they're going to be as feisty in the playoffs on offense. Their defense might have to carry them this year. Stroud's having a little bit of a sophomore slump. Chiefs-Texans is my number 5 game to watch. Number 3, Eagles-Commanders, a division rivalry in Washington. Can Washington beat Philly and kind of take Big Brother down from their throne a little bit? Jaden Daniels, as a rookie, is, like you said, might win Rookie of the Year, only thrown for just 17 touchdowns this year, 3,045 yards. Not a lot. He's done pretty well as a rookie. Give me Washington Eagles is my game number 4. My game number 3, Vikings-Seahawks. This is essentially for the division, for their playoff hopes for Seattle. Will they have Geno? 4:05 start on Fox. Vikings playing right now on Monday Night Football against the Bears. They are shutting out the Bears currently in the third quarter. Vikings probably will be 12-2 in this game. Out in Seattle, long trip for Sam Darnold and company, but Seahawks are going to be fighting for their lives. Number 3 is Seahawks and Vikings. Number 2, and this one might shock you, Buccaneers-Cowboys. Buccaneers-Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Everything's bigger in Texas. Jerry World in the spotlight once again, as they always are. Can the Cowboys inch closer back to 500? The Bucs coming off that 40-burger against Los Angeles. Can they carry that momentum over and get one step closer to the NFC South for the 5th straight year? Bucs-Cowboys is my number 2. And finally, my number 1 is Steelers-Ravens. This game is always really good as a division. Rivals get together in the AFC North in Baltimore this time, 4:30 on Fox. Ravens coming off their killer of the Giants. Steelers coming off that hard-fought loss to Philadelphia, where they didn't, in my opinion, they just weren't as sharp, didn't have a lot of effort going on in that game. They just weren't as sharp as they needed to be. But that happens, as we all know, in the NFL. It's the NFL. Can't bring it every week. Sometimes some teams are just better. And my toilet bowl of the week, if you are a Raiders fan, if you are a Jags fan, I'm sorry, Las Vegas Raiders versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in Las Vegas. Raiders-Jags is my toilet bowl for week 16.
I'm loving it. My number 5 is Vikings-Seahawks for everything you just mentioned. I think the Seahawks team is showing, hey man, we've superseded expectations with everybody thinking that they were going to be the 49ers. How would they deal with the Super Bowl hangover? Obviously, because of injuries and off the field, on the field, controversy, they haven't been able to live up to expectations. So, give me Vikings, give me Seahawks. My number 4, Steelers-Ravens. I think the thing about the Steelers-Ravens team is this: if the Steelers got George Pickens, it's going to be much of a game. If they don't, I think the Ravens have their way with the Steelers. Even though the Steelers did beat the Ravens, in their first matchup, it's always one of the best rivals, if not the best rival in football. Steelers-Ravens. My number 3, Texans-Chiefs. I don't care if they got Patrick Mahomes or not. I still want to see the Texans versus the Chiefs because I want to see the Texans can play against teams that's good enough to, can the Texans prove, hey, man, we can go up and play against a good team like Kansas City who they're not going to make excuses. If Carson Wentz is under center or Patrick Mahomes is under center, you want to see. So for me, I want to see if the Texans are you sizzling no steak or you just sizzle with the steak? Are you contenders or pretenders? And I want to see if the Texans are indeed contenders and not pretenders. My number 2, man, and I agree with you, Bucs Cowboys. I think the thing about the Cowboys and the Bucs is, the Cowboys are going to come to play because obviously they playing for pride at this point. They playing for, hey man, we're not gonna just throw in the towel. They don't want to have an under 500 record. They don't, and they fighting for that right now. The Bucs are fighting to obviously keep some distance between them and the Falcons right now in that division to make sure they lock it up. So give me Bucs Cowboys number 2, and my number 1, Eagles Commanders. Listen, people, listen. Jaden Daniels don't think that Jalen Hurts is better than him. And he don't supposed to think that way. I get it. But he got to prove it. Because Jaden Daniels is nice, man. Can the Eagles put it, can the Commanders make the Eagles one-dimensional? Take away Saquon and pick your poison when it comes to Devonta Smith and go there and obviously A.J. Brown and those guys. And can the Eagles force Jaden Daniels to look like a rookie? Because up until this point, he hasn't. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. As I mentioned, you Vikings, Seahawks, Steelers, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Bucs, Cowboys, and Eagles, Commanders. My toilet bowl game, Titans, Colts. Oh, God. Somebody Somebody got to watch Mac Jones versus either Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. May God help us all. That is going to be awful. I'm just saying, so, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
Well, as we always do, if you have any suggestions, leave us a review in the comments. Leave what topics you want us to discuss here in the NFL season as we keep rolling along week 16. We will be back once again next Monday. We will be looking out for some more guests as we will have them on here in the future. We've already had Mike Silver. We've had Mike Hill. We have had Chris Myers of Fox. We've had so many great guests, and we look forward to continuing to bring all these guests to you here on Winning the Division, where you are either in the division or you are winning the division, and it's almost time to win that division as we get down to week 16, and we should see division winners crowned here, hopefully in the next 3 weeks. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. This is Winning the Division. We will see you next time.